The stage lights dimmed, and for a moment, Sam Heughan stood still, motionless, almost fragile beneath the glow that had followed him for over a decade. The crowd cheered, the cameras flashed, but his eyes told a different story. Behind that calm smile, there was something else. A weight he had carried for years, hidden beneath fame, charm, and discipline. "I kept quiet for too long," he once whispered in an interview, and that single sentence broke the silence that had surrounded him like a cage. In the early days of Outlander, Sam became a symbol of strength, passion, and romantic perfection. To millions, he was Jaime Fraser, the noble warrior who could love with his soul and fight with his heart. But the world rarely paused to see the man behind the role. What people didn't see was the pressure that came with being everyone's fantasy, everyone's expectation. Every gesture, every photo, every interview, scrutinized, analyzed, twisted into headlines that had little to do with who he truly was. There were rumors, endless ones, about his love life, his friendships, even his body. Why isn't he married yet? Who is he really dating? He must be hiding something. The media painted its own stories, and fans sometimes blurred the line between character and actor. To the outside world, it was glamorous, but behind closed doors, it was suffocating. Sam once admitted that the hardest part of success wasn't fame itself, but the loneliness that came with it. "You're surrounded by people," he said, "but you can feel completely alone." The more the spotlight grew, the quieter he became. He learned to smile through questions he didn't want to answer, to laugh off lies that hurt deeply. The tabloids had no idea how much damage a single headline could do. He turned his pain into discipline, pouring it all into his work, pushing his body and mind to exhaustion, almost as if proving he was still in control. But the silence came at a cost. Friends noticed his distance. He disappeared for weeks, traveling alone, hiking mountains, finding comfort only in the wilderness, away from the noise, away from the world that expected him to be perfect. Those closest to him knew something wasn't right. The strong, charming man they knew was beginning to crack behind the mask. There were nights when he couldn't sleep, days when the simplest smile felt like an act. Yet he refused to let anyone see. The pressure to remain unshaken, to be Sam Heughan, the hero, became his invisible prison. "I thought if I stayed quiet, it would all go away," he later confessed. But silence, as he would come to learn, doesn't heal wounds, it only hides them. His breaking point came quietly. No outburst, no scandal. Just a moment of stillness after years of pretending. One night, alone in his flat, he looked at his reflection and didn't recognize the man staring back. The actor, the celebrity, the public figure, they had all swallowed the person inside. That's when he realized the truth he had been avoiding. That even the strongest people can break when they've been carrying the weight of the world alone. He began to write again, not scripts, not interviews, but personal notes. Thoughts that had been buried for years started to pour out. Memories of loss, rejection, fear. He wrote about the cost of fame, about the cruelty of assumptions, about how being admired by millions could still leave you feeling unseen. Slowly, piece by piece, he started confronting what he had been running from, himself. But the question still lingers. What was it that Sam Heughan had kept silent about all those years? What truth was so painful that even someone as strong as him couldn't speak it until now? The answer, when it finally came, would change everything, not only for Sam, but for everyone who had ever mistaken his silence for peace. Under the soft glow of a London morning, Sam finally spoke, not as Jaime Fraser, not as a celebrity, but as a man who had spent too many years hiding behind the safety of silence. His voice trembled at first, but the words flowed with a raw honesty that stunned even those who thought they already knew him. "For years," he said quietly, "I pretended that everything was fine. But it wasn't. I was breaking inside, and I didn't know how to ask for help." That confession changed everything. It wasn't about scandal or gossip, it was about humanity. For the first time, fans saw Sam not as a perfect icon, but as someone who had been deeply wounded by the very world that adored him. He spoke about the hate messages, the false stories, the pressure to always be the strong one. He revealed how online harassment and distorted rumors had pushed him to the edge more than once. It's hard, he admitted, to keep smiling when every part of your life is being judged by strangers. He described waking up some mornings feeling completely empty, scrolling through headlines that twisted his words, his friendships, even his kindness into something unrecognizable. He said there were days he wanted to disappear, not because he hated acting, but because he no longer recognized the person he was becoming under the constant scrutiny. Fame gives you everything, he said, and then takes away the things that matter most: privacy, peace, and sometimes even yourself. But in that same breath, Sam also spoke about rediscovery. The truth he revealed wasn't only about pain, it was about resilience. He began to talk about the people who quietly helped him heal: his close friends, his family, and the loyal fans who had stood by him without demanding perfection. They reminded him that it was okay to be human, to have scars, to not always be the hero. He started to rebuild his relationship with himself, little by little. Therapy helped, writing helped, long walks through the Scottish Highlands became his sanctuary, places where he could breathe without cameras, where he could remember why he had chosen this path in the first place. He learned that vulnerability wasn't weakness, and that admitting pain didn't make him less of a man. I realized, he said, that silence had protected me, but it had also imprisoned me. The moment I spoke, I felt free. The reaction from the public was overwhelming. Messages poured in from around the world, people thanking him for his courage, others sharing their own stories of pressure, judgment, or emotional exhaustion. Hashtags began trending overnight, not out of gossip, but solidarity. Sam had unintentionally started a conversation about mental health, privacy, and the toll of fame. And for the first time in years, he wasn't running from the noise. He was leading it towards something meaningful. His colleagues reached out too. Many admitted they'd felt similar pressures but never dared to speak up. "It takes someone brave to break the silence," one of them said, "and Sam just did that for all of us." Through all of it, he stayed humble. He didn't frame himself as a victim or a survivor, just a man learning to be honest about his struggles. "I'm not telling this story for sympathy," he said. "I'm telling it because for too long, people have confused perfection with strength. Real strength is being able to say you're not okay, and still keep going." And so, Sam continued his journey, but this time differently. He began choosing roles that reflected truth, complexity, and imperfection. He supported mental health campaigns and encouraged young actors to protect their boundaries. The fans who once adored his characters now admired something much deeper: his courage to be real. Looking back, it's clear that the heartbreaking truth he revealed wasn't about a single event, but about years of silent pain and unspoken pressure. Yet from that pain, he built something extraordinary: a sense of peace, purpose, and authenticity that no rumor could ever touch again. In the final lines of that interview, his eyes softened, and he smiled, not the charming, camera-ready smile the world knew, but a quiet, genuine one. "I spent so long being afraid of what people would think," he said. "But the truth has a way of setting you free." And in that moment, it wasn't Sam the actor who spoke. It was Sam the man, finally unburdened, standing in the light of his own truth.